The causes of the Cold War. There were many different causes to the Cold War which drastically changed our world's affairs following World War II. According to Bright Hub Education, the main cause was leaders' differences in political beliefs. More specifically, the difference was that the former allies of World War II and their control of Europe. Those differences, war devastation, and the disagreeing of the future of Europe were the main causes of the Cold War. Right after World War II ended, the United States and the Soviet Union came to peace and extended their friendship to one another. But it was only short-lived when the Soviet Union felt strained by their economic losses and lives that were lost during World War II. The Soviet Union lost nearly 20 million people during World War II. Their leader, Joseph Stalin, was determined to help his nation regain its strength. According to the Heritage of World Civilizations textbook, a meeting took place in February of 1945 in Yalta to talk about the future of Europe. Those in attendance included the three leaders of the Allied forces, which were Franklin D. Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and Joseph Stalin. Roosevelt passed away several months later and was replaced by Harry S. Truman. Later that year, in July, the Allies met again in Potsdam, Germany, to discuss Joseph Stalin's intended plan of dominance in Eastern European countries. Joseph Stalin wanted to control these nations and implement communism in them. Years that followed included hostility and mistrust between the Allies. Germany was split into four sections between Britain, France, the Soviet Union, and the United States. Berlin was also split four ways as well. American and Soviet troops were stationed in Berlin and saw the tension between the two firsthand. A Soviet officer in Berlin helped the Jews that survived concentration camps. This seemed to be light at the end of the tunnel for believing change was about to be made in Soviet leaders' hearts. But that was quickly changed to a political agenda. Senior Soviet officers informed others that the Germans were not solely responsible for the war. It wasn't just Hitler. It was the imperialist system. And who are the representatives of the imperialism now? The Allies we fought on the same side as against Hitler. The demise of Hitler helped socialism rise. They were told Eastern Europe had been rescued by the Red Army during the war, also made socialism rise. Czechoslovakia, Poland, and Hungary all were under the Soviets' control at the end of World War II and were changed to socialists. These statements made and supported by Stalin prompted a Soviet expert at the United States Embassy in Moscow to write a letter which was to be known as the Long Telegram. In this letter, the Soviet expert gives advice to contain the Soviet power. Shortly after this was written, in 1946, Winston Churchill gave a speech called the Iron Curtain. The Iron Curtain brought attention to the Soviet dictation that divided Europe. Churchill suggested that English-speaking nations would stop the Soviets from their expansion and power. In 1947, Harry Truman wanted to follow advice and therefore created the Truman Doctrine. It put a stop to the spread of communism into other nations. This escalated tension and the start of the Cold War. In 1948, Germany was in a financial crisis, and the Western powers wanted to help the situation in two ways. One was to combine their sections of Germany into one, and the other to expand the currency of the successful West Germany into West Berlin. The Soviets didn't want this to happen, so they blocked Western access to Berlin. Western powers did not let this stop them, and began 24-hour drop-offs of food and medical supplies to West Berlin. The blockage of Western Berlin lasted 11 months while supplies continued to be brought in for months after the blockage ended. Germany was officially divided in 1949 into West Germany and East Germany. West Germany organized a democratic government which came to be known as the Federal Republic of Germany. East Germany created the German Democratic of Europe and was made part of the Soviet Union. The cause of the Cold War divided Germany into two completely different political powers. After the division of Germany, the Cold War began and continued until 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed.